Happy holidays, gang. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, December 18th, 2025. This is live stream 1270. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then we will usually take a look at a role-playing game release. Such as tonight, we'll be diving on in and taking a first look at Paranoia, Brave New Missions, Something Satiric This Way Comes, from Mongoose Publishing. Yeah, say that title 5 times fast. So I'm just going to refer to this as Paranoia, Brave New Missions. I think that'll work well enough. So we're going to be diving on into that. If you are tuning in for the first look, I do want to mention we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. Probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get to that first look. So if you're watching live, just kick back, put your feet up, relax. The weekend is right around the corner. Take a load off. Now, of course, if you're watching after the stream has ended, maybe even on Memorex, there will be timestamps. You can find those in the show notes, as well as, depending on the device you might be utilizing to watch this, they could be right there in the timeline of the video right in front of you. About 30 minutes after the stream ends, you will have those timestamps available. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Keith Thulu. We also have Kevin King, as well as, let's see, Captain Infinity Time Travel Police, Semper Buffo, the Madman, is also with us. And we might even have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as another of our chat moderators alongside the Madman. How's about that? Sean O'Donnell is checking on in. I was going to say, we haven't seen Sean in a while. I know he's been liking stuff on the Facebook page for the Gaming Gang, but we hadn't seen Sean popping on into chat for a while. So good to have Sean back. Very nice. All right, so got to point out, remember last night I was talking about how if FedEx delivered the Forge of the Artificer, the new Eberron release for Dungeons & Dragons, we'd be taking a look at that tonight. What'd I tell you last night? FedEx is, in my opinion, FedEx is the absolute worst of the shipping companies out there. They used to be the gold standard in shipping. If you needed something to arrive on time and in pristine shape, you went with FedEx. Now FedEx is dog shit. I mean, they are awful. So, of course, I guess Wizards of the Coast paid for 2-day shipping, and it left on, I believe, the morning of the 16th. So I believe I saw something like 6 a.m. This is from Texas. So it went from Arlington, Texas. It took over 30 hours to get to, wait for it, Fort Wayne. Or no, I'm sorry, not Fort Wayne. Okay, so wait. So it went from Arlington to, it went to somewhere else in Texas. This is the whole point. 30 hours later, and I get it. I understand. Texas is a big state. I have driven across Texas, and it takes forever. But still, so it was scheduled to arrive today before 12:30 in the afternoon. At 12:30 in the afternoon, it was still indicating it was still in Texas. It's like, so I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not going to sit here, oh, fingers crossed. I'm like, nope. Going back to the original plan, which I had already pointed out last night, we would do. So we're going to take a look at Brave New Missions. Kevin R. Smith has popped on in, says, yep, their slogan used to be when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Yep. And then I think they changed it to when it absolutely positively has to be there on time. And now I think their tagline is just, we don't give a fuck. I think that's it. I got to be honest. If I had the option of just throwing an item into the trash with the hopes that it would get to where I wanted it to go or handing it off to FedEx, I'd be up in the air. Keith Lewis said it took them 3 hours to get out of Texas when they drove to Gen Con earlier this year. I was going to say, you must have been driving across a pretty narrow stretch of Texas. Sean Nell says if they stayed overnight somewhere, slept for 8 hours, they'd still be able to make it in less than 30 hours. Yeah. Yep, that is true. That is most certainly true. So Wordforge and Doomed Colonist are with us tonight. Yes, that's right. WForge is, in reality, Wordforge. You heard it here first. There you go. Doomed Colonist says, with ideas like that, Jeff should consider a career in advertising. Yeah. All right. We also have, I believe it might be a first-time visitor in chat, JT Tong? George T. Tong? George? Taking a wild guess, everybody. Taking a wild guess. All right, so let's jump on into the news because February is going to bring the latest volume in the 5 Parsecs from Home miniatures game, and I've got the scoop from Modiphius Entertainment. Prepare to embark on the grandest 5 Parsecs adventure yet as you make planetfall on a world filled with wonders, terrors, and difficult challenges. Planetfall is a solo and co-op adventure game where you take the role of a crew of colonists, scientists, and explorers from the mighty unity of humankind, building a colony on an alien world packed full of long overgrown crash starships and dangerous ancient ruins, while contending with mysterious and hostile life forms. You will have to direct your colony's expansion and research, as well as commanding your characters and troops in tactical miniatures combat. Over time, your colonists will gain experience and improve their combat abilities, while the R&D department adapts alien tech to upgrade your armories and perhaps even your very bodies. Standalone compatible rules. The game is played with any miniatures you'd like to use and requires only a small feature count per battle. Rules are compatible with characters brought over from 5 Parsecs from Home, Tactics, and Bug Hunt, allowing you to chain together the grandest space adventure you've ever experienced. Take that, Star Wars! This features easy combat rules, allowing a single player to handle action quickly. It's packed with random tables, including artifacts, colony events, crises, and more. 14 mission types ranging from exploration to pitched battles to delves among alien ruins. Tactical enemies include pirates, renegades, outlaws, alien raiders, Kieran landing parties, converted recon teams, even hostile fellow colonists. In-depth research includes 13 scientific theories, 40 buildings, and 8 augmentations to unlock. As you explore it, you'll map out the world around your colony and create your own unique encounter tables filled with bizarre and evolving table-generated life forms. Assailants. Yep, gotta watch out for those assailants. I was trying to say assailants and aliens at the same time. I don't know why. Assailants specific to the Kensington Reach setting, introducing the psionic, the Saurian Slin, and ancient robot guardians of the Sleepers. No relation to Woody Allen's film. Multiple epic endings are possible for your colony. Now, right now, you can pre-order the hardcover with PDF from Modiphius Entertainment. It is $54.61. Of course, that's because of the exchange rates. I'll take a wild guess. MSRP's probably $49.99. Regardless, if you pre-order, you'll actually receive the PDF immediately with your purchase. This is not available just yet over at DriveThruRPG in PDF. So the PDF is only available with the hardcover pre-order at the moment. And if memory serves, Modiphius bought 5 Parsecs from Home. I'm trying to remember who that was from originally. I wouldn't mind checking it out. It's like a skirmish level miniatures game, but I think it's really heavily geared towards solitaire play or co-op play. Doomed Colonist says that this talk of colonists makes them feel self-conscious. And Mike and Coco B are popping on in. I see DB has joined us once again. Said they're here to watch the Gaming Gang and chew bubble gum. Anybody got any bubble gum? Roddy Piper does. Sadly, he's passed on, but at one time he did. Yes. Sweet. So this is slated to arrive physically in February. Cubicle 7 Games is now taking pre-orders for Warhammer, the Old World Starter Set. Here's the latest. Step into the shadows of a fractured empire where danger waits in every forest glade, beneath every crumbling ruin and behind every smiling face. Warhammer, the Old World role-playing game starter set is your gateway to daring adventure and grim deeds, plunging you straight into the action with everything you need to begin your journey. You'll find a thrilling starter adventure in this box, The Hand That Feeds, set in the bustling yet downtrodden river town of Telegod. What begins as a seemingly simple task soon spirals into mystery and danger, drawing the characters into a tale of intrigue, corruption, and lurking horror. Designed to teach you the rules as you play, the adventure eases new players into the game while throwing them headlong into a fast-paced fight for survival. With maps, tokens, dice, and pre-generated characters, this set has all the tools to bring your tales of grim and glorious adventure to life. The old world is a place of constant strife. Beastmen stalk the forest while the undead stir in forgotten crypts. Within the empire, rival claimants jostle for the throne, blind to the gathering storm. And amid it all, you and your companions are unlikely heroes armed with faith, steel, and a stubborn refusal to kneel before despair. Whether you are rallying allies in the smoke-filled taverns of Telegod, braving the treacherous river Telebec, or facing down horrors from beyond the grave, Your choices will decide if you fall to the growing darkness or carve your name into legend. You'll love this starter set because you'll be able to jump straight into the action with an adventure that teaches you the rules as you play. You'll discover Talagad, a grimy river port brimming with intrigue and danger, perfect for adventures beyond the starter game. Bring the old world to life with full-color maps, tokens, and dice, and everything you need is in one box. No extra books are required. It's built for all adventurers, whether you're brand new role-playing or a veteran seeking a fresh challenge. This all-in-one box is the perfect way to begin role-playing in the old world. Accessible, thrilling, and richly atmospheric, it contains everything needed for bold beginners to take their first steps and enough depth for veteran players to lose themselves in unforgettable campaigns. Are you ready to stand against the tide? The old world awaits. The Warhammer, the Old World role-playing game starter set with PDFs, I'm assuming. Multiple PDFs. Does carry an MSRP of $39.99. It is a pre-order right now. And we're talking pre-orders quite a bit tonight, actually. But if you pre-order, you will receive the PDFs pretty much immediately. Now, the PDF is available right now as of today over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. I am curious about the old world. I am also kind of curious why we've got the old world and then we've got a 5th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay on the horizon. Kind of curious about that. Because you would think maybe, the old world would have replaced WIFRIP. But it is a completely different system. I understand that. Mechanically, it is vastly different than WIFRIP. WIFRIP is a percentile system. And as far as I remember, the old world is a D10 dice pool mechanic. And I know I talked with Dominic McDowell as well as TS over from TS Lucart over from Cubicle 7 Games at Gen Con this past August, July, August, it's late in the month, early in August. And I seem to recall it's a D10 dice pool and you need to roll a 7 to succeed. Well. So kind of curious about the old world. None of this is out yet physically. So even the player's book or heroes, I think it's a player's book. And there's also the Game Master's book. Physically, those aren't out yet. I think they're supposed to arrive in the first quarter of 2026. And this, I do believe, this starter set is supposed to be arriving in the second quarter of 2026. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Chris Lundgren has joined us in chat. Sean O'Dell says, Jeff, screw the Skaven. What are you talking? They don't exist. No such thing as Skaven. It's a figment of your imagination, Sean. I'm going to stick to that because I don't need the Skaven slitting my throat while I sleep. Chris Lundgren says, oh crap, I recently bought the starter set for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I wasn't planning on investing in a new system. Supposedly, the 5th edition, which I'm guessing it's probably going to crowdfund. Just stab in the dark. Because didn't the old world crowdfund? Anyway, supposedly everything with the 5th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, everything is going to be backward compatible. So, because I guarantee there'd be a lot of people who would be very upset to have invested in the director's cut for The Enemy Within, plus each volume's companion, which comes out to 10 books, all at like $40 a pop, I think they would be pretty upset. I'm just saying. All right. So, DB says, like me. Yeah, I believe it. I could see that. DB says, don't they have a big new campaign in the works? I don't know. There are things that I know that I can't tell you about. And then there's things that I know a little bit about, I could probably talk about, but I just don't know enough of, so I don't want to mislead anybody. I will say that for the next few months, there are, to my knowledge, there will not be any physical releases from Cubicle 7 games. I think they've got what was hitting. I just did a news piece for it. I think Sons of Rus or Wrath and Glory. I think that might be the last physical release for like 2 months. Once again, I'm not positive. It's kind of things I've heard through the grapevine. We'll see. We will find out. Chardell says, just on the digitals, they'd have thoughts on a reset. There you go. Like I said, I'm kind of curious about the old world. Isn't it 300 years before Wifrip? Isn't that the setting? So there are some things that are going to be very familiar, and then there are things that are different. So you're not locked into the Emperor, things like that, right? Hey, I'll get to see it at some point. I'm sure my friends at Cubicle 7 Games will send me those core books when they come out. All right, so let's talk about saving some money, because there is a new bundle of holding which features Tales of the Valiant from Kobold Press. I know this was a topic of discussion last night. I've got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. This all-new Tales of the Valiant bundle presents, well, you guessed it, Tales of the Valiant, the tabletop fantasy role-playing game from Kobold Press of high adventure in a labyrinth of infinite worlds. Funded in a $1 million plus May 2023 Kickstarter campaign, Tales of the Valiant is a polished, versatile alternative to Dungeons & Dragons that uses the open Black Flag role-playing system compatible with 5th edition D&D. Lineages and heritages make every starting character different. Character classes get upgraded abilities like talents, a wider spell selection, and martial actions. Downtime activities give you interesting decisions between combats, and luck points help you survive to make those decisions. Every monster has options to make encounters memorable and challenging. And the Labyrinth, a magical maze that connects countless fantasy realms, makes porting your existing characters to Tales of the Valiant as easy as sending them down a corridor. This all-new Tales of the Valiant bundle gives you the core rulebooks and many adventures for a bargain price. Pay just $24.95. You'll get all 8 complete titles in the Valiant collection, which has a retail value of $114, as DRM-free PDFs, including the beautiful 387-page Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide and the 300-page Game Master's Guide, the first Monster Vault Bestiary, and 5 adventures for low-level characters. Adventures of Dib, yes, the famed goblin leader, Shards of the Spellforge, Trouble at Mossbeard Mill, Sea of Bones, and Caverns of the Spore Lord. These savings will run through January 7th. So for $25, you can get the core books for Tales of the Valiant, which will clock in at approximately 750 pages or so, thereabouts, and 5 adventures. If you have had any sort of curiosity regarding Tales of the Valiant, and I have reviewed all 3 of those core books, I have not reviewed any of the adventures because they're in PDF. But I have reviewed other stuff like Labyrinth World Book, things like that. Anyway, if you have had any sort of urge to check out Tales of the Valiant, this is a perfect opportunity to do so. $25, get all the core books. They're not holding out on you for anything. It's not like, oh, hey, here you go. Here's the player's book and the Monster Vault. Oh, you want the GM guide? So sorry. Nope, none of that happening here. So by all means, definitely check it out. Pete Strakulich has popped on into chat, says, Dib eats cats. Yeah, you know what? If I remember right, he does. There are a series of Dib adventures throughout. It's not only Tales of the Valiant. So we also have some of the 5e adventure collections. Normally, when Kobold Press does an adventure collection that's not tied into a specific region, they always have at least 1 or 2 Dib-related adventures. One of my favorites is Daughter of Dib. Yep. I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just telling you it's one of my favorites. Moving right along, as I mentioned, we're talking about things that are on the horizon. Another item which is arriving in February is Coriolis the Great Dark, Flowers of Elgarab. And I've got the skinny from Free League Publishing. Levon was a true explorer and a true friend. Levon likes his money. Sorry, different Levon. And he went farther and deeper than anyone before him. I guess you could take that in a multitude of ways. Who can forget the ascent of the Ice Cathedral in Ninhulan, made without proper climbing gear, or the 3rd survey of the Red Garden, where he mapped the final strata with a broken leg and wounded arm. That was Levon Najjar, fearless, endless. As we pass him on to the uncreated spirit, we do so with gratitude. May the blessings of the 3 guide him, and the icons show him mercy. With that, 2 white-robed Coriolites with pale silver masks operate a console that tips the platform beneath the body, making it slide off and tumble down into the inky blackness of the well. Within seconds, it's gone. The death of an old ruined delver and a missing stone tablet marked the beginning of a strange set of events in the depths of Ship City. Soon, the explorers are drawn into a web of intrigue and ancient secrets that threaten the very fabric of the Lost Horizon itself. The Flowers of Elgarab is a massive campaign set for Coriolis the Great Dark, the new edition of Free League's acclaimed original science fiction role-playing game, in which the explorers will partake in investigations in Ship City, embark on perilous expeditions, and travel down the Hammurabi Arm in search of lost secrets. This box set adventure is slated for an early February release. I believe it's February 3rd. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99. I should also point out there is no pre-order available just yet. And if you had backed the Kickstarter, I think you would already have this. How about that? I think that's the case. I'm not positive, but I think that is the case. So Chardal says, can't say deeper around Jeff without a raised brow. Well, that's not exactly true. It's the way he went farther and deeper than anyone before him. Phrasing, right? Hey, we already know this is not a stream for small children. So there. All right. Anyway, so I am looking forward to checking this out. I dig the new edition of Coriolis. I just think that they kind of stripped away some of the stuff that made it really unique. Now it feels like a completely different sort of game, which it is. But it's weird. It doesn't feel like it shares the same DNA as the original Coriolis. To me, it feels like it's more of a mechanical game, especially when you get into the expeditions and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I reviewed it. I liked it. Just saying, it's quite different. All right. So let's move on to our final news piece, because Pelgrane Press is now offering the 13th Age 2nd Edition as a combined player's book, GM's guide, and GM screen in PDF. Here's what I know. First, we've got the Hero's Handbook. The 350 pages of the 13th Age 2nd Edition Hero's Handbook include character creation, a chapter on the kin, classes, backgrounds, the combat rules, icon connection rules, and write-ups of each of the icons to help players use their connections in fun ways that shape the story. To help people get into the game, the book opens with a 17-page example of play covering campaign planning, character creation, and the first 4 battles fought by a party of heroes exploring a cemetery overrun by Lich King cultists. Then we've got the Game Master's Guide. Players will want 13th Age 2nd Edition Game Master's Guide for treasure and information on the default setting of the Dragon Empire. Game Masters need the GM's book's 250 pages of rules for running the game, campaign advice, rules for quickly creating exciting and balanced battles, hundreds of monsters, guidelines and tools for designing new monsters, and an introductory adventure in a living dungeon. Then, of course, we've got the Game Master's screen. The side of the 3-section screen facing the players shows the 12 icons. The side facing the Game Master has all the tables needed to design monsters and battles on the fly, reminders for conditions and actions during battle, and the guidelines for both environmental threats. It's not all bad for the heroes. The screen also has guidelines for suggested treasure rewards. You can get the 595-page PDF or a DriveThruRPG for $59.95. I would say that is a solid deal. I'd always heard good things about 13th Age. I have never checked it out. And of course, we had the 2nd edition arrive. Are the physical books even out? I think they are. Maybe it was fairly recently that the physical Hero's Handbook and Game Master's Guide started to hit retail. The only thing I've been curious about is how well supported is the 2nd edition. I seem to remember fairly decent support for the 1st edition, but I think it was heavier into like supplemental material, like source book material, as opposed to published adventures. I might be misremembering, but Kevin King asks, has anyone played this? Kevin R. Smith, Dueling Kevins, says they've never played 13th age, but they have read it. Biggest problem with running it is that it's usually felt extremely tied into the default setting. Aha. I believe it's epic fantasy. Well, I know it's fantasy, but I think it's, epic fantasy. So it's right there in the same ballpark as Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. Like I said, I'd be interested in checking this out. I really, really would. For the most part, I'm always interested in checking out just about anything. The only sorts of games that I tend to turn down when people offer them, when they email me and offer me up review copies, I tend to turn away kids' games. I don't have any kids to play them with, so I can't really help you out in that regard, right? And role-playing games that tend to be very, very heavily invested in anime, I tend to steer away from those. In fact, I just had someone email me this morning asking if I would be interested in doing a review for this particular role-playing game, which I had not heard of. It's new. I think it had kickstarted. And I took a peek, and it's, real kind of cozy. And I don't have a problem with cozy games. I mean, I would, check out various, it's when they're really tied into like certain types of anime. Like real, like anime where the characters, when they, they display their emotions, they change into like little like cartoony, like, you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, I've seen some like this where it's like, it's kind of like a slice of life kind of anime, which once again, I don't have an issue with that either. But then somebody gets upset and all of a sudden it's like, wah! They have a weird, like they shrink down, they're little and they're like, and I'm like, no. It's like this. Shout out says Jeff's Akira or nothing. I think Akira was the first anime I went and saw in a theater. I remember going and seeing that. Ghost in the Shell, yes. Pete Straklich points that out. Of course. Love Ghost in the Shell. I've talked about it before. My absolute favorite anime of all time. And the funny thing is, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Planetes or Planet ES, because I've heard both ways. Absolutely love that anime. I introduced it to my nephew Cameron a few years ago because him and his girlfriend are pretty big anime fans. And he absolutely loves it too. So there you go. DB says they're creating a character for Mithras while they're listening. Anyone play Mithras? Sorry, so off topic and random. I have ADD. What is with everybody with ADD, AHDD, double F? What? DB says off topic and random, Mr. Brand. Doom Colonist says, yes, Planetes is fantastic. Yeah, I remember I saw those they weren't fan subs. They were a little bit different than that. And it was really cool where you had the subtitles, but then they would also, it was almost like, remember like pop-up videos on VH1 or whatever it was. I'm not saying it would go boop, but you would see like a little thing pop up and it would explain something about Japanese culture that a Japanese viewer would intrinsically know. But a non-Japanese viewer would be like, what? I thought that was very cool. I thought that was very, very nice. All right. So I know a little bit about Mithras. I've had a lot of people recommend it. I've had a lot of people tell me that that is their preferred, like, sword and sandal sort of role-playing game, because you can use Mithras for a lot of different things. It's essentially, from what I've been told, because isn't it from, what is it? Design Mechanism? Isn't that the company's name, the publisher's name? The Design Mechanism, I think it's known as. But it utilizes the, like, basic role playing, the RuneQuest rule set, but it's not tied into Glorantha, which I know for a lot of people, Glorantha is a huge selling point for RuneQuest. And then for other people, it actually steers people away from the game because they're so afraid that they need to know all this stuff about RuneQuest, that they need to know about all the different pantheons and all the gods and goddesses and all the... No, not at all. That's why the starter set's fantastic. Fantastic. Alrighty. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to stop by DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the multitude of One Bookshelf sites, do me a favor, stop by thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners. Even if you're going to Storyteller's Vault and you see it's DriveThruRPG, click on that banner. Then from DriveThruRPG, go to Storyteller's Vault or wherever you're heading. It will still populate our affiliate code. And if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters effectively keep thegaminggang.com around on a month-to-month basis. Also, if you like the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can help support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Ah, that hits the spot. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. Be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. It's absolutely free. So there's that. All right. So tonight, as I had mentioned, we are going to dive on in. We are going to take a look at Paranoia, Brave New Missions in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Here's one from Mom and Daddy, one Grandma came to bring, one from Uncle Charlie, and one from Burger King.
The Burger King doll.
This Christmas, your kids can have this colorful, cuddly Burger King doll free when you buy a book of 10 gift certificates for $5.
Add an extra touch to Christmas with a gift from Burger King.
I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. That's the song I sing. I'd like to teach the world what Santa wants today. I'd like to buy the world a Coke. That's the song I sing.
This year, give your gifts that extra touch. Duracell batteries. They make holiday fun last longer than regular carbon batteries.
You think
think of everything, even Duracell batteries.
And Duracell, too. What a nice touch.
Wow, it's neat.
Try it out. I put in Duracell batteries. Duracell, the extra touch that makes holiday fun last longer.
Sometimes I get homesick, too, for someone who really loves me, the way a woman wants love.
Every word is figured out. I want someone who really loves me, like a woman wants to be loved. Oh, and him taking it hook, line, and sinker.
Jimmy, a man can spoil his life over a woman. I know our friends wouldn't like you to go away with this girl.
Sure, and if he's worth loving at all, he's worth fighting for. Now go to him. And when he sees you, his heart will remember. Who wouldn't celebrate? He's getting his chance.
Yeah, a chance to get mixed up with a lot of shoddy people who turn his head and make a fool of him. He'll drink too much and laugh too much.
I dream of Jeannie with the light brown hair, born like a vapor on the summer air. I see her tripping where the bright streams play.
As soon as I get a decent job, we can get married.
Jim, you just proposed to me.
What? I did. Well, it's all right, isn't it?
Darling.
I've seen Beyond Tomorrow once, and I saw it on Turner Classic Movies about 3 years ago during the holiday season. And probably your reaction to that trailer was my reaction when I saw what it is about. It's like, they say, 3 ghosts are trying to help a couple fall in love during the holiday season? What? It's not a bad movie. It is a movie that kind of disappeared. I guess, according to what I recall from Turner Classic Movies, I think like the early 40s, came out in 1940. It was kind of, a popular Christmas movie. They would, run it again. And then it disappeared almost forever. Rooster 3840s with us, as is Testy Trekkie. So it's 43 degrees Celsius there in Australia. Very cool. Very nice. Actually, it was in the 50s Fahrenheit in the Chicago area today. And now the temperature is plummeting. There you go. DB says on the 23rd at 4 p.m., The Man Who Came to Dinner, their favorite Christmas movie. I shared a trailer for The Man Who Came to Dinner. You might have missed that episode. Yeah, it's where he breaks his hip and he's recovering, and then he's completely recovered, but he doesn't want to leave. Showdown says Buster Poindexter and Scrooged was so weird. Buster Poindexter in anything, including Buster Poindexter videos, was really weird. All right. So before we jump on in and take a look at Paranoia Brave New Missions, I do want to give a shout out to our Patreon members, which I tend to do on our live streams. So a big thank you to Adrian Carpio, Gustavo Cavalho, Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Kuval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, GameCat, Kevin King, Pete Straklich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and the Madman. So DB points out they missed a few. They were working. Yep. Oh, I completely understand that. Just saying, that was another forgotten Christmas movie that I shared a trailer of. Mike says they went to boot camp outside of Chicago. Coldest cold and windy. No thanks. I grew up in the city, and as a teenager, I took a, public transportation. I took a bus. Well, I took a couple of buses actually to go to school when I went to Lane Tech. And the street that Lane Tech was on ran like directly to the lake. And during the winter, you would have wind just blow like a gale right up that street. And you'd be like, yeah. I got to say, even though we got some snow dumped on us early, Chicago winters are nothing like they once were. Tessie Tricky asks, doesn't Chicago get ice on the lakes in winter? Well, we have one lake. And yes, there are times where Lake Michigan will ice over. So, alrighty. So, yes. So, Friend Computer says, stop delaying or you'll be assigned to self-destruction. So we have to let George know that that's how this show works. It is a live stream, engaging with people in chat. Well, we are going to start taking a look at Paranoia Brave New Missions. Something satirical this way comes from Mongoose Publishing. The 152-page hardcover with PDF is available now. It's been out for a couple of years, I do believe. Carries an MSRP of $49.99. You can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Brave New Missions for Paranoia. A few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Mongoose Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside this adventure collection. Lastly, this is an adventure collection. So if you're a player and your game master runs Paranoia, maybe you know they've picked this up, maybe they've talked about picking this up, please keep in mind, even though I know nothing about the adventures which are contained within, there are going to be some spoilers simply as we flip on through. So just letting you know. All right, let's take a peek at the back here. You want to play Paranoia? Congratulations. You are superior to other gamers and have great taste. You even look sharp. Yet to play Paranoia, you need missions that torture / redact that, present vibrant challenges so players can kill, strike that, cooperate with each other's troubleshooters. Oh, and maybe succeed at the mission. Where can you find several missions gathered together so you can run Paranoia until people are laughing too hard to breathe? Yep, that is this book. See, you are superior simply by reading this. It says 5 missions, 1 book, 4 catch-22s, and you can shake a depleted laser pistol at. Welcome to Brave New Missions, something satiric this way comes. Oh, and players can buy this book, but must not read it, or you will ruin the fun. All right, while we're taking a peek, I also want to mention, I was going to share this as a news piece if we were looking at Forge of the Artificer. There is a Traveler/Paranoia adventure. It is available for absolutely free. It is in PDF over at Mongoose Publishing. I shared a news piece about this earlier today, so it is on thegaminggang.com. And it is a Paranoia adventure, and it uses the Traveler mechanics. It's 39 pages, so it looks like there's quite a bit to it. And it looks like it utilizes the Paranoia layout and art style. So by all means, check it out. It's supposed to kind of be an introduction, I guess, to Paranoia for people who play Traveler. Pretty wild. All right, so here we've got our credits. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. Presenting something satiric this way comes the non-campaign mission book for Paranoia. Okay, time to be honest. When we ran the most recent Paranoia Kickstarter, we hoped it was going to be successful. That said, we didn't think it would be that successful. We had planned on publishing several missions after the Kickstarter ended, and we had to bump them up as new stretch goals. Ah, the confusing life of a famous game designer. That leads to a small problem. Does the GM really need to buy all 5 missions separately? That sounded annoying even to the high programmer in charge of PLC, so we decided to slap them all together in one omnibus for your convenience. Also for getting your money. Sweet. I want to say this is the first adventure collection that came out for this edition of Paranoia. So looks as if we have got, so it's going to give us contents of each adventure, because for a second I'm like, wait a second, it's supposed to be 5 adventures. This is our table of contents. It only goes to page 36. Now, I get it. So this is certifiable. So we'll look for a synopsis. Troubleshooters are supposed to be good at shooting trouble. The problem? They're also good at shooting innocents, killing each other, failing missions, and causing enough material destruction that an entire sector gets labeled, oh hell no, on mapping apps. This could be fixed by better troubleshooter selection and training, but that takes effort. Why not just mandate strict requirements for troubleshooting duty? I don't know, something like a certification exam, and assume that fixes everything? As far as our mission background, as the great hotfix ramped up, commies took the blame for the chaos and damage. Yet others remember there was a troubleshooter team involved, and they wanted justice, or barring that, a patsy to take whatever blame did not stick to the communists. After months of delays caused by arguing over who would cater the inevitable meetings, all service groups came together and helped create the Troubleshooter Certification Exam, a series of challenges built to test troubleshooters on their ability to not screw things up. If that was not bad enough, real communists are done being blamed for Project Infinite Hole and figured the TCE is the best place to interfere with troubleshooters. If they are yet being certified, they can yet be shooting commie freedom fighters. Kevin King says, 80s colors, typewriter font for headings. a little retro futurism. Pete Strakowicz liked the opening piece of art. Got a little bit of a Farrah Fawcett vibe on this one. I don't know. What could be the giveaway? The hair? I got to be honest, I have not had an opportunity to ever be a player with Paranoia. And I picked up the first edition of Paranoia when it came out from West End Games years and years ago. And I'd pick up the source books and I would pick up the mission books that would come out and I would read them and I'd have a good time. And then I tried running it, I think twice. But the players that I ran it for, they just didn't get the joke. They would get, butthurt when their clones would get killed. And it'd be like, it's kind of, par for the course here, gang. Anyway, I would love to play Paranoia. I think it would be a lot of fun. All right, so we've got a lot of Tila here. So we've got Tila's tip. I wonder if this first adventure is kind of designed to be like an intro adventure for the players as well as the trying to remember what is the term for the game master in Paranoia. They're not the computer, because the computer is the big boss of Alpha Complex and the other complexes too. Are these supposed to, yeah, I guess these are targets. It's a good long adventure though. Looks like it's clocking 30 some pages, right? Yeah, here we go. I guess it is the game master. Keith Lewis says the high programmer. Yeah, you know what? That does ring a bell. But here it just says GM. All right. Do we have some pre-gens? Looks like it's. Yep. All right. Then we have In the Clouds. This one's about 20 pages in length. The Troubleshooters' minds are uploaded to the cloud through their cortex, where the team must protect friend computer from a team of traitorous cybernauts. With the guidance of a real-world R&D operator and a helpful tooltip program. Is that going to be Tila again? The Troubleshooters fight clone avatars, programs, and viruses, travel through high-speed data ports, and ride around inside a bot brain. Can they stop the traitors from destroying their ultra-critical target in the middle of a civil war between two service groups? Will they help destroy it themselves? Does this all feel like a rejected scene from Ready Player One, but without cool 80s references? Cool deal. So when this upload is done, I'm downloading my lunch. So I guess we're looking at kind of almost like a cyberpunk kind of hacking sort of adventure here. Is this our program? Maybe. And we've got our GM sheets again. Next, we have meet and greet. I guess we can use those pre-gens in all of these. Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, says it's the Grand Poobah. That's what I always used to refer to myself as. I'm the Grand Poobah of the gaming gang. After a mission goes catastrophically wrong, a troubleshooter team is saved from severe punishment by Evelyn B. Pney, a HPD and MC executive looking to change public perception of troubleshooters among the citizens of Alpha Complex. After consulting a focus group, the team gets a new look, a new catchphrase, and a new purpose to make the public love them. After a series of public training missions go astray and a video surfaces of the team destroying life and property, they find themselves cast as the most hated troubleshooters around. Terrence B., a rival of Evelyn B., gives the team a new mission and a shot at redemption. But the team soon discovers this mission is worryingly familiar. Sometimes just reading the Paranoia adventures and, of course, source books and stuff is almost worth the price of admission just for the entertainment value. So it looks like the players become part of a focus group. All right. We have badges on, badges off. Solid artwork throughout. Paper stock, very nice. This does have stitched binding as well, which is pretty much what we always see from Mongoose Publishing. Next up, we've got Stealth Train Redux. The Troubleshooters are called to guard and test a new R&D project that combines the military function of zero observability with the civic necessity of mass transit, the ST-700 stealth train. The problem is, how do you guard something you cannot see or detect in any way? Even worse, what do you do when you have nothing, but we're told it is very much something, but when you look, it is not there, but it needs to be, and who knows if it exists or not? We have no clue, but that is fine. We are not the players. Yes, Rooster 3840 says, badges? We don't need no stinking badges. What's in your mouth? Nothing. Nothing, eh? Lyle. Chewing gum, eh? I hope you've brought enough for everyone. Well, I didn't know there'd be so many. Yeah. That's what happens when you see that movie, I don't know, about 50 times in about a 2-year period when you're in high school and your brain is still developing and absorbing things. I shoot with this hand. Boy, is he strict. Yes. All right. Oh, there we go. IntSec. Security guys. So we've got camera operators. Looks like somebody's making a video in this. Artwork throughout is pretty solid. Then we're going to wrap up. I think this is Adventure 5. Yeah, I think this is Adventure 5. Viva Veg Sector. Viva Veg Sector. Viva. A violent clearance citizen creates an illegal casino in the Underplex so he can collect XP points from all secret societies. He needs help keeping it running, and he is not going to do it. Thankfully, did I read that right? He needs help keeping it running, and he is not going to. Okay, there you go. I did read that right. It just didn't click. Thankfully, a free troubleshooter team is just one mission alert away for a violet like him. Then the team flip-flops between serving friend computer and working for the casino several times before everything ends with a mild nuclear explosion. Yeah, it was a mild nuclear explosion. Come on. And hopefully debriefing. So it looks like we've got a bunch of probably minor NPCs. Maybe they're people who are gambling in the casino. Kitty Kitty looks bigger than you think. White fur with black tiger stripes. Big old claws. Quirks. Stares for way too long. Stays quiet until letting out a deafening growl. Plans. Eat things. Sleep. Ignore people unless they have or are food. Alrighty. Margaret Dumont. Oh, gee. Oh, that's awesome. So, it's Margaret UFEO. Looks, Margaret Dumont from Marx Brothers Movies. Perfect posture. White robe is immaculate and flowing. Quirks, reckons that everyone and everything is for her benefit. Must always have the last word. Plans. Visit the casino and see what all the treasonous hubbub is all about. All right, so here's an interesting little Margaret Dumont side note. So she appeared in a lot of the Marx Brothers movies, and she just didn't get it. She really didn't like comedies, and that's why she always seems kind of not in on the joke, and it's because she wasn't. So it's my understanding that she was very professional, and you know she was just a joy to work with and everything, but she just didn't get the Marx Brothers sort of comedy. I think she didn't get comedy in general. So I thought it was kind of interesting when I heard that. All right, so then we're going to wrap up with some handouts for this adventure. And that is it. That is a peek inside Paranoia, Brave New Mission, something satiric this way comes from Mongoose Publishing. Of course, this is available now. As I mentioned, it's been out for, I think, a couple of years. The 152-page hardcover with PDF, if you order from Mongoose Publishing, carries an MSRP of $49.99. If you want to grab just the PDF loan, you can do so at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Yay! I will have a review of Brave New Missions in the not too distant future. It's a pretty short book. Pretty easy to jump on in. All right, our pal Kevin King is rocking on out for the evening. We're actually wrapping the show up ourselves. So, one show next week. One show on Tuesday, and then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, no shows. And then I will be off. I think it was January 6th would be the next show, because I always take the week between Christmas and New Year's off, and just the way it lands. So we have a show on Tuesday. It's the 23rd. And then I won't do a live stream until January 6th. But there are going to be plenty of videos. In fact, as I mentioned yesterday, my game plan is to have 12 days of reviews, and like 12 days of Christmas. I will kick that off on Christmas Day and run that. I think that would run through January 6th, same day that I will return for the first live stream of 2026. So there will be that. I will have some first looks. I will probably share a first look video of Dungeons & Dragons Eberron Forge of the Artificer sometime tomorrow. I'll probably start shooting it within a few minutes of it actually arriving here. If it arrives, you know, once again, talked about FedEx being absolute dog shit. So it should show up. But I've actually, out of all these shippers, I've had more things not arrive by way of FedEx than any other shipper out there, including a little kid with a red cart that they're just pulling along. I've probably had better success with them delivering something than FedEx. But hey, I digress. Anyway, so that will be tomorrow. I'll have my review of the Dolmenwood Monster book this weekend. So expect 2-3 videos at least before I return next Tuesday. And then on Tuesday's show, unless something changes, we're going to dive in and we will actually take a peek at the fourth and final of the box sets that the fine folks over at GUI Cube were kind enough to provide me for review. If I remember right, I think it's an adventure set. Can't really catch exactly what it says on it. It's not, it's over, sitting over there. But it is a pretty good size box set. So we will be taking a peek at that. I think it's an adventure collection, if I remember correctly. All righty. So that is it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm going through the news or flipping on through an RPG book or unboxing a board game, what have you. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. It doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. Thank you kindly. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. Once again, I will be back on Tuesday. So hopefully you will join me then. You might want to pop on in because there might be giveaways. I mean, it will be Christmas week. It's going to be the only show I do. So could be. May not want to miss out on that. Then again, maybe I won't give away anything. Who knows? Anyway, like I said, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Happy holidays to all of you. If you enjoy the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell because not only is it supposed to notify you when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central here on YouTube. It's also supposed to tell you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of the Dolmenwood campaign book from Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral. All right, everybody. Take care. And of course, as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang